Hank had woken up in a very crude jail cell. Just outside was a big table where some dwarves had spread all his gear out, and they were trying to sell his gear because he'd been captured as a slave. So yeah, he woke up. And Hank being Hank, his default reaction was to become enraged. And he ripped the door off its hinges of this jail cell because his hammer is on the table outside. They're going to sell it. He wants his hammer because he needs to hit things with it.
Yeah.
Also, the box is on the table outside.
And there was, they had originally just thrown the box on the ground as garbage, but then one of the freak dwarves, the cyborg dwarves, came up and wanted to buy the box, and a little interchange happened where the guy selling it realized that this guy wanted it really bad, and so he was like,
upping the price.
Just talking him up to thousands of gold, and then finally,
a fight broke out.
Finally, the guy who was trying to buy the box just killed the guy who was selling the box, and
that's one way to get it.
And that's when Hank burst out of his cell at that moment. So it seems like most of these guys don't know that the box is meaningless to them, but that one guy clearly wants the box.
And he may actually know what the box is, which would be interesting knowledge for us to have. So, meanwhile, topside, the rest of the party's trying to get back together. Croesus finds his way out of the sewers to come up and join us. So we deal with that particular little problem fairly easily. However, Croesus has been on his own now for a couple of hours, and that's not a good place for him to be psychologically speaking. He tells us about how he was down there and he met one of his old friends, Atar, who was a scout that used to work with him, and that Atar was down there scouting out now the place. But if we see him, he's a great guy and all, but it seems like he's gone a little crazy because Atar thinks he's Croesus now. So in case we encounter Atar, beware, because he thinks he's Croesus. So yeah, we have absolutely no idea what's going on with that, because there's no Atar. Croesus has gone further off into La La Land than usual. So we gather around the entrance to the sewers, the manhole cover that Hank went down, and are sort of debating how to proceed, when suddenly a whole bunch of gnomes pop out of ambush and attack us. And so John starts running two combats simultaneously. Hank down with dwarves and us up with the gnomes.
Which was just really a matter of practicality, so it wasn't just me and one person playing.
Yeah.
Technically they probably happened about an hour apart, but whatever.
Yeah.
We played them at the same time.
There was no way for the two fights to directly interact, so who cared? So, the gnomes do a surprise round and hit us with a bunch of magical effects. They're illusionists.
The first one shoots some ribbons of undulating light that explodes into this firework of light ribbons all around them, and it goes into their eyes, and they're blinded because all they can see is just undulating light everywhere, and it's just like freaky chaos light.
So, Serendipity, Van Goldstrider, Malor, Slayer, the Butcher, Bracken, Stopper, Towers got blinded.
And so did Croesus. With insane chaos stuff.
Yep.
Actually, Croesus... on his first turn he used an ability that lets him do an extra save, and he saved out of it. So he immediately got hit with that stuff, and I was like... I didn't like that.
So, our first turn comes around, and we all jump down the manhole cover. And the gnomes are all like, "Stop them! If they get away, all is lost."
The gnome who was leading them was the gnome who was after the box the other day. One of the ones who ran up into the sewers last time.
Yeah.
and the other one was the gnome who was with her, but was more hesitant. And then there was a bunch of others with them. And the one who had been after the box was clearly the leader of the group. She was the one who said, now, when they sprung the ambush. And she was the one who said, we can't let them get away. We've got to make sure that we don't let their kind into the city, etc.
Yeah. So we all jump down the manhole cover, and we pull the thing shut behind us. And Serendipity, Van Goldstone, Moore, Slayer, the Butcher, Blackridge, Templar of Towers, casts Hold Portal on the manhole cover. She doesn't roll very well, but all the gnomes run up to it, and they waste their turns like trying to pull this thing open. And they manage to break the spell. They do an Arcana check, and they break it, but it took them their whole turn.
All the ones who were close enough spent their turn. There's only like 3 close enough, and like
one just tried opening it and failed because he didn't know it was.
Actually, there was only 2 close enough. One tried to open it, failed. The other one broke the spell, and then all the other ones took their whole turn just to get there. So they're all gathered around the manhole cover. It's unlocked now, but
yeah. So it's our turn again. So Serendipity Hold Portals it again, and she rolls much better this time. She gets like a 35 or something. It's really good. So we're feeling pretty secure now. She rolled really high. It's going to take him a long time to break through that. So we run. And that's pretty much the end of that combat. Because it took them a while to get through that manhole cover, and by then we
They couldn't get through. So the leader, they heard them saying as they were running away, this is going on your report. I'm going to go back and report this to your superiors. You stay here and guard this. And
so much for John's plan of simultaneous combat.
It was working for a little while.
Yeah, it actually, because we went through that whole fight now.
Yeah.
It lasted about half as long as the Hank fight. So,
yeah.
But yeah, it is true. They just kind of solved that problem.
Well,
Their solution to everything now is to run through the sewers.
It's been working quite well. For the most part, aside from
must
Hank.
Diplomatize the king. Run through the sewers!
Hey, king!
Where's the nearest manhole?
Yeah. We should just carry one with us. Be like a shield. Manhole cover for a shield. Anyway, so back to Hank. So he ran out and grabbed his hammer off the table and proceeded to start smashing people. However, he's just one guy, and there's all these dwarves all over the place, and they've all got magic items in them and stuff. So they start...
all kinds of weird magical effects are going off on him.
They just start pummeling him, and he's just hit points down. He goes past bloodied in the first round.
It was kind of interesting because mechanically what I did was for some of them I had some stats, but for the random townsfolk, they were minions, but they had a recharge power that would be I'd roll on the I think there's 86 wizard dailies from level 5 to 9, and so I just rolled on there, saw what wizard daily they had, and cast it if it made sense. And if they didn't get their recharge, then I would roll for a wizard at will, and randomly that's what they would do. So they're just doing all kinds of just completely random stuff all over the place.
So yeah, Hank's getting pummeled, and it looks like he's probably going to go down again. But then and he got hit with slow. There was difficult terrain all around him from area effects and stuff. And he was pretty pinned down. It was nasty. But then the dwarf that had wanted to buy that box, that seemed to know what it was, and that had killed the shopkeeper or whatever that was trying to sell it, he suddenly turns to Hank and says in Shifter, it's Hank's language, let's ally, we'll get out of here together. Basically, those weren't the exact words, I can't remember what they were, but let's team up and get out of here with the box, and then we'll sort out what to do from there. Because otherwise, all these dwarves around us are going to kill us both. So whatever. I'm not going to get the box, you're not going to get the box. Yeah. So Hank, not completely insane with rage, recognizes that, hey, that's probably a good idea. And so he agrees. And then so the two of them, who actually Hank had hit the guy just one round earlier.
He knocked him down.
Yeah.
The guy got up and said, "You want to ally?"
They were suddenly, standing back to back, bosom buddies, fighting the hordes of dwarves all around. And then suddenly swarms of gnomes start coming out of the rafters and attacking all the dwarves. And then the dwarves start fighting the gnomes. And this is like that fight at the beginning all over again, where there's like 8 or 9 different factions and nobody knows who's on which side. Just boom, everyone's fighting everyone else.
I like that John's figured out how to keep you guys from talking to people.
As soon as we start.
Swarm of gnomes!
Swarm of gnomes. So anyway, Hank grabs the hook shot, which is a sort of like a magical grappling hook gun thing. Since he's slowed, he can't move very fast. But the hook shot isn't slowed down by that. So he grabs his new dwarven buddy and hook shots his way across the floor, just dragging himself across the floor into a side corridor, and then they run for it.
And even at that point, he could have hook shot it away theoretically without that guy, but he took him along, and his main thought was, there's 2 targets now. So, and it's true, the dwarves were splitting their attacks against both of them.
And that was very useful because he got very close to going down, even so. So Hank runs for it with this dwarf and the box. And the dwarf tells him, as they're running, I know a safe place we can hide, follow me. And so they run through the corridors for a bit. And then
he actually did say at that point, because Hank needed healing, and he said, okay, well, I can actually take you to my people, and we'll help you out, and then we can sort this out.
Yeah.
So he didn't know that it wasn't just a safe place. He knew he was taking him to other people.
Yeah. So they run through the corridors for a bit, and then they find this like dead end, and the dwarf like puts his hand on the wall or something, and a secret door opens up. And Hank goes with him into this little secret chamber, and the door closes behind him. And so they're in this little secret room, and then they have some time to recuperate. And Hank, spends some healing surges, and a little time passes. They talk.
They talk. The dwarven freak, parts some garbage, and there's like a glowing red gem, and he puts his hand on it and focuses for a minute, and then covers it up. And he said he's calling his friends to come help them. And then he offers Hank some food. There's like food hidden there, and they're eating and talking.
And after a while, Hank has recovered a bit. He's got hit points now. So he asks the guy some stuff that's like, hey, are you gonna betray and murder me or whatever? Not in those words, but basically he's trying to suss out the guy's attitude. Do you remember what exactly he was asking?
Well, he asked, why did you help me? And he said that like a few years back, they had captured a different shifter as a slave, and he got to really like this guy, which is not like the appropriate thing for a dwarf to do. You're not supposed to like non-dwarves, but he got to really like this guy. But of course, shifters are belligerent, so eventually the guy was like beaten to death for not doing what he's supposed to do, and so he felt really broken up by this. And so when this other shifter appeared, he sort of just felt this urge to help him escape, and maybe it wasn't really rational, but there it is.
And so Hank rolled an insight check, and it was like, this guy is completely full of hot air. He's lying his head off.
No, actually,
that one he sort of believed, but then it was...
Then he asked him, why did you want the box? And he said,
right.
He said, I saw a box that didn't have any way to open it. Clearly there must be something really expensive inside. And he wasn't ready on that. Actually, it's actually quite amazing, because Hank, I believe, rolled a 20 on that inside check, and that guy rolled a 2. And so Hank beat him by 1. So he saw through that lie.
So Hank realized this guy was lying to him. He sort of suspected it, anyway, because, And so... Hank reverted to default behavior.
Oh yeah, he asked him.
Kill, crush, destroy.
He asked him how to get to the surface, and the guy's like, "Well, when my friends come, I'll tell you." And then he was like, you "Let me out of here." No, I'm not letting you out of here.
Yeah.
Until my friends come.
So then it was hammer time.
Yeah. Then it was hammer time.
Yeah.
And Hank smashed him pretty hard with the hammer on the first hit and bloodied him. He was already somewhat damaged. And
then all of a sudden, the guy just sort of dropped the whole facade, and in a totally unemotional way, told Hank, you know, you're probably going to kill me, but you're not going to survive getting out of here. And then Hank killed him.
Yep.
Basically, yeah. Just bam, bam, bam. Okay. There was a little bit of fighting. He did counterattack a little bit, but Hank was overwhelmingly powerful compared to him.
Yeah.
Just smashed him to paste. Literally smashed him to paste, because when he died, his body suddenly melted away into like black goo which evaporated or something. It was a little bit peculiar. Didn't even leave any loot. Well, he left one item of...
Oh, he left some items of loot, but I hadn't decided what yet, so I'll figure that out between sessions.
Yeah.
But yes, he melted just like that wizard. Yeah, the time wizard that they fought in whatchamacallit.
We may be in a battle with some time traveling wizards. It's hard to tell. Anyway. So now the trick was Hank needed to get out of the secret room. He knew where the door was to come in through it, but he didn't know how to open it. Not true. He did know how to open it. He had a hammer. Turned out that was the key that the door needed.
This has been a very good key.
The hammer has worked.
It turns out that he is actually the rogue of the party.
Yeah. Actually, it's true. He was getting us through all the traps in an earlier dungeon because he had regeneration. He's just
Found one.
Yeah. There was this one place that was one of those classic chess puzzle, checkerboard floor puzzles where some of the floor tiles would electrocute you and some wouldn't. And Hank found the way through by just smashing the tiles as he went and just basically tunneling through, yeah. So he was really good at that. So anyway, he starts smashing the door open. He gets it open a crack and sees that there's two surprised cyber dwarves out there that were sort of waiting by the door, like trying to. They were like looking for him.
They were just sitting around, basically.
And so they were a bit surprised when suddenly the doors, the wall gets cracked open and smashed like that. I told Robert that he should say, "Here's Johnny," but he didn't. Oh well, missed opportunity. So he makes a really awesome final roll on the smash things open check, and just blasts that door open, and then runs past these two dwarves
To the sewers.
Discretion is now the better part of valor. After all the beating he's taken, he's finally realized, not finally realized, he understands that he can't stay to fight. So he runs past these guys, and they do like attacks of opportunity on him as he runs past. But he's pretty good at
That actually reminds me of an interesting thing. While he was fighting the guy he killed in the secret room, I asked him to make an Arcana check, and I set the DC at 24, and my basic intent was ask him to make an Arcana check. There's no chance he could possibly ever make it. He's not trained in Arcana.
Barbarian.
And then when he fails, I would just say, never mind. That was my plan. Then he rolled a 20 on the dice and got 25. So he actually made his Arcana check. So the cyber dwarf, they can't cast magic, but they have magic items embedded in their body. But he was, even though he had that, he was just casting normal spells. He wasn't using magic items at all. He was just casting spells like a normal wizard would. And another interesting thing, one of the two freaks who he was running from through the hallway, like had all the magic item like a cyber dwarf, but he was holding a gigantic sword and hit him with the sword. So that was also kind of weird. But whatever. That's just a
Yep.
note.
Hank ran past all that, and he's not the sort who really, cares about things. So he didn't really investigate any of that further.
He didn't have time.
That too.
He realized he got out the beam shot and just started beam shotting down the hallways as fast as he could through the.
Faster to drag himself with a grappling hook than to run. So.
I mean, that beam shot is a very quick means of movement if you're like in indoor tunnels and you're by yourself. I mean, it's
we totally need to get a skateboard.
15 squares. And basically, you can shoot to somewhere and over there is a move action. So you can move 15 squares as in one move, which I think is perfectly balanced because you actually have to have the beam shot out.
Yeah.
You know, like
It's got to use one of your hands.
Yeah.
And only one person can have it, right? So it's not like the whole party is doing that. It seems fun to me.
We speculated on Ood trains having automated beam shots built into them.
Yeah, because if you could manifest a kettle nailed to the ground 15 squares ahead of you, you beam shot your vehicle to it, and then you manifest another.
Or just have a road with all these. Anyway, yeah. This is, idle speculation. Let's see. What else? I don't think anything much else after that. He got away.
Yeah, he got away. And now he's double lost in the sewers. Well, the Undercity is a better way to call it. But
and we're not even single lost really, but we're searching for him. And I use sending, the ritual sending, to contact Hank and tell him, hey, we're looking for in the sewers, where are you? I'd previously done this, and he'd be like, I'm enslaved by dwarves. Over. And we're like, that doesn't really help us, but whatever. So I contacted him again, said, okay, now we're down in the sewers looking for you. Do you have anything else we could go on? And he's like, not really, I've escaped from the dwarves, and now I'm running through more sewers that I don't know where they are. And so we both sort of agreed via magical communication to head for the wreckage of the tower that we crashed in the city, because it seems like as reasonable a landmark as any.
I'm sure you can see it from everywhere in the city.
Yeah, there's probably still plumes of smoke.
Oh yeah, they're still fighting the fires from that.
Yeah. So that was sort of where that session ended. Now, one thing I forgot to mention that happened at the beginning of the session, we'd leveled up. We're now level 10. And Cricket's been having some issues. A couple of sessions ago, she did something because she wanted to. And this has been weighing very heavily on her mind, because that's not what a domestic's supposed to do. This whole initiative thing, that's not right. She's worried that she's going feral. And so at level 10, she gets Bonded Charge, which is a part of the Guardian theme. You pick an individual and you are a special bodyguard for that individual. And so Cricket decided that her problem might be that she's got too many masters. She's taking orders from everyone in the party. And so they often give her contradictory orders or refuse to give her orders at all, which is even worse. Yeah. They're like, you just do what you feel is right. So she decides she needs to just listen to one particular person as sort of the primary order giver. And it was quite funny, actually. I started talking about Bonded Charge and how it's supposed to be like you're the bodyguard of the particularly, there's one person you want to protect more than others, and I'm talking directly to Robin, who's Aurora's player. As I'm talking about this, and I was saying, so it kind of became obvious to me that there's one person in the party in particular that really I need to be the Bonded Charge of. Serendipity Van Goldstrider, or Slayer, the Butcher of Black and Ridge Toppler, it's Howard. Something like that. And that's hilarious on so many levels. Because just the way things have worked out, Serendipity Van Goldstrider, Moore, Slayer, the Butcher of Black and Ridge Toppler of Towers has the smallest share of ownership of Cricket of all the party members. It's just worked out that way for various reasons. But at the same time, she's the one that has been most wanting to order Cricket around. And that's actually why Cricket picked her. Because she wants to be ordered around. And Serendipity Van Goldstrider, Moore, Slayer, the Butcher of Brackenridge, Toppler of Towers is, the only one who actually seems to want to do that.
Yeah. Aurora really wants Cricket to be a person and refuses to give her orders.
Yeah.
Troces is more or less the same, and he usually chastises her, and when people give her orders, he chastises them for taking advantage of her confused mind.
Yeah. Troces thinks Cricket is insane.
Yeah. And Hank is just sort of like, whatever, like Cricket seems to want this, so whatever. He doesn't really give her orders, he just doesn't care.
Yeah.
But Serendipity Serendipity will give her orders sometimes.
Yeah. So yeah, this is kind of nonplussed Aurora somewhat. She thinks that Cricket has backslid or something.
Yeah, she does. Aurora was pretty upset.
Yeah.
And Croesus gave a few talking tos to people, but
yeah.
That's good.
Yep. So that's where things stand. We're still trying to get back together with Hank.
They're in the middle of having this discussion when they were attacked by the gnomes, so they continued having this big fight about whether they should give Aurora or Cricket orders and whether she was a person while they were being attacked by gnomes.
Yeah. Gotta have debates over the nature of free will while we're in combat.
Dear Diary, well, we found Croesus, and for this I'm very glad. Although he does seem kind of disturbed, I don't think it would be wise in the future for us to leave him alone again. I'll have to stick to him. To make sure he's going to be okay. And something's going on with Cricket and Serendipity, Van Goldstrader, Malor, the Slayer of the Butcher of Breckenridge, and Toppler of Towers. But I'm not really sure what. I don't understand, and I kind of feel like we're taking some steps backwards. I hope Cricket will be okay. She does seem upset, and Serendipity thinks this is the best way to help her. I don't really know. I just know I really care about them both, and I don't know if it's good for Serendipity, Van Goldstrader, Malor, the Slayer of the Butcher of Breckenridge, and Toppler of Towers. I don't know if it's good for her to have so much power over another person. Or, I mean, person who doesn't think she's a person. Because, that's a lot of power to have, and I just remember, like, all those years when I was looking down, sometimes when people have a lot of power over someone, it can change them, and I wouldn't want that to happen to Serendipity, Van Goldstrader, Malor, the Slayer of the Butcher of Breckenridge, and Toppler of Towers, because she's my friend, and I care about her. But anyway, I'm writing this while we're running through the sewer because we're looking for Hank, and Cricket said that she talked to him through her mind somehow and that he's escaped. So that's really good. I'm so glad that he's okay. Well, alive. She said he sounded, well, I think from her facial expressions it sounds like he's maybe a bit cross, but that's kind of normal for Hank, so I think it means he's okay. I hope he has the box. I'm sure everything will be fine, and most of all, I'm really excited to meet some dwarves. I wish I could learn their language. I'm going to go ask Cricket if she knows how I could learn Dwarvish, because she knows lots of things. Cricket?
Well, I'm quite pleased with myself. I did manage to shut down those gnomes. Well, more precisely, I totally denied them access to us. I mean, they did get a surprise attack off, and I couldn't see anything, and there's sparkles, which kind of sucked. But it's okay. It's all better now. Cricket has decided to listen to me. She's, even though I have less of a percentage in her ownership, she's listening more to me than to Aurora or Croesus. So I must do the best thing for my friend Cricket. And occasionally, the best thing will be to tell her what to do. Otherwise, Cricket gets so worried and bothered by free will. So, it's a terrible responsibility, but Cricket asked me to do this, so I will take this on.
I hate dwarves.
Well, at least we're in a familiar dream now, because I was a little bit confused when I was on my own then, but then Atar showed up, and he's changed a lot, but it's just good to see the old crew again. And if it's me and Datar now, then it means that Kem is dead, and we have to go find Stacia. And it's good to do this with my friends, even though Cricket's being silly again. And Serendipity, then Scriber, something about a tower, I guess. Yeah, I should probably say something about that. Maybe they'll listen to the Dreamer. And, okay, so Atar's gone to look for Hank, so we'll find Hank, and Hank has Stacia. Oh, it's been so long since I've seen Stacia. Even if she's pretending to be a box now, it's just going to be good to talk to her again. And I can't wait till everyone meets Atar, because he's such a great guy. Oh, he doesn't say much, but he's always there for you. That's Atar for you. He always ran on ahead and scouted for us, and just solid, like, not a talker. Not a talker is Atar, but he kept on going on about, I don't think he's in his right mind right now, because he thinks he's me.
Oh, what a relief. Everything is starting to come together. We found Croesus fairly quickly. Hank is at liberty, and hopefully we'll find him soon. He has the box. Oh, and I think I may finally be free of party leadership and all these conflicting orders. Oh, yes, my ownership is still shared amongst the members of this party, but my bonded charge is going to be Serendipity Van Goldstrader Malor, Slayer of the Butcher of Brackenridge, Toppler of Towers. I'm going to do what she tells me to. That's so simple. I love that.
I hate dwarves.